Okay. So one of my questions is, what is okay? So basically, I went to a climate change conference this past weekend, and one of the things one of the speakers was speaking about was basically about the people who believe, the percentage of people who believe in climate change, and percentage of people who don't. And basically, he was talking about 90% of people. 90% of people actually believe in climate change. They kind of took a poll within like Congress and within people of the government, and it's crazy because 3%, about 3% of the people don't believe in it. But it seems as much that the 3% who don't believe in it is kind of taking over for the 97%. So the 97% doesn't really have a voice in as much as a voice as they should, or like how to implement the climate change, that there is climate change and that we do have to do something about it. So how did you guys get into climate change? How do you feel like you can impact that, and what pretty much got you started with it?
Look at me. I'm quiet. This is the quiet moderator. My panel is looking comfortable, and they're probably all looking at this question, going, "Oh shit, I don't want to be the first one," because that's a really good question. I'm not sure exactly what, but even also you can stretch the question a little bit, not only your own perspective, but that of your company, and how it may take advantage of people's outlooks towards climate change. But anybody got something here?
Yeah, I'm happy to take a first crack at that. You're right on the statistics that 90% of people agree that climate change. Amazingly, there's very powerful people and organizations that help to muddy that message. And with two colleagues here in Massachusetts, shortly after the unfortunate shooting in Newtown, 95% of the population of the United States agreed that there should be gun laws in place. However, here we are several years later, and they're still not, because it's very, very hard to influence change, even when 95% of the population agrees that something's wrong. So what can we do about that, and how do you influence decision makers? Really, is what it comes down to. And back to the organizations I'm involved with, it's very hard for anyone to say they don't support veterans. Everyone supports their veterans, which is great. So it's a very much values-based discussion when a group of veterans gets together and says, here is why I am in the renewable energy space. Here's why I care about climate change. Here's why the Department of Defense cares about it. It's a very compelling message, and that's really been a key inspiring factor for me. And how it influences me is that the Department of Defense receives a emergency request every 2 weeks. It's a major issue for the U.S. Department of Defense. For you as university students, what can you do, and how can you convey this message? One of the things I think that gets lost a lot of times is the disproportionate impact on our cities, where a lot of us are from, and the large source of climate changing attributes is our coal plants. And disproportionately, coal plants are located in cities where either where we live or where we're from or where our families are from. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity to communicate that that these coal plants have impacts on our communities, whether it be public health, whether it be climate change. I think there's opportunities to recognize and organize around that. I would love to see a university or a group of university map all of the coal plants in the United States and show how close they are to where we're all respectively from. That kind of visual picture would be very influencing, I think, for positions of power to make decisions. So I'll let my colleagues there go from that point.
Yeah, I was going to say similarly the same thing. There's just, I think the implementation in making that the norm is really the hard part, and making sure that people are thinking about what does it take to really take care of this climate change issue, and how can we make it happen. And again, that's really where a lot of countries will get into trouble, is just trying to figure out how do I take care of the financing to make this happen, and to really focus on renewables, and how can I get this implemented. It's a larger picture when you think about all the details other than just saying, oh yeah, climate change is happening and we should really do something about it. But actually knowing what goes behind that and how to make it happen takes a lot. And it really takes a lot of support from everyone other than just saying, yeah, I know it's a problem. So really making sure that we are really sticking it together. You need to really back this, and you need to really be taking initiative to make this happen. So I think that's where a lot of people think it's easy, but it's really not. There's so much that goes behind it, and we need to make that apparent to everybody to show what does it take to really help this climate change issue.
Yeah, for me, the way I look at it is it's great that such a large percentage of the public believes in climate change, but then what influences the decision makers are, well, huge corporations, and then the people who kind of scream the loudest, to be honest. So I don't try so much to change people's beliefs about it, because if you have a belief that's not based on science, I can't really make rational arguments. So my idea is more trying to appeal to what they do believe in. So it could be cost. Like Mike was saying, the cost for renewables is forecasted to drop dramatically, as it's already doing, while the cost of fossil fuels is expected to continue to rise. And then to Kevin's point, public health. So even if they don't care about the environment and they don't believe in climate change, they care about their wallet, and they're going to care about the health of themselves and of their families.
You know, I can't resist jumping on Rashawn's point about money, Adria, and that is, you know, part of your question was, well, what's going on here? 97% say there's a problem, and yet 3% seem to be controlling the show. And as Rashawn alluded to, you know, there's some very big businesses that are invested in the status quo, and that's okay. I mean, this is the story of the world. There are people who have made a ton of money in fossil fuels, and they have nothing. Well, it's harder for them to see the gain in the future of renewables, right? And so they may even have legal obligations right now when you get into shareholder commitments and the like to be the 3%. But I'll tell you what is really cool, and this picks up Rashawn's point, and actually both Canadian Solar and Vysela, is the money thing. So for example, you know, you see what's going on in some of these states now where a guy knocks on your door, you have a house, you're in California, you're in Arizona, Nevada, wherever. Guy rolls in and says, tell you what, I want to sell you a solar system. And the person goes, well, I can't afford that. And he says, don't worry about it. I'm going to give it to you for free. We're going to load up your house with solar panels. And all you're going to do is that check every month right now that you send to Florida Power and Light, or you send Pacific Gas, you're going to send that monthly check to me for the next 7 to 10 years. And you don't have to pay any money up front for this $20,000 or $30,000 solar panel system. It's going to give you all the electricity you need. And you just send that check to me for, you know, again, 7 to 10 years. And at some point, the system's going to be paid off, and it's yours. And it's probably going to last for another 10 to 15 years. You'll have to do a little bit of maintenance on it, but promise me, you're going to make this is a good deal. And this is Rashawn's point. They care about their wallet. They care about money. And yeah, now they get really interested in climate change, because here is something that can positively affect climate change. It saves them money. And this is why I'm looking at jobs every day. You know, Solar City and Canadian Solar, and these guys, you know, these guys are busy as hell, because this is an economic model that works. So money is both in part the problem, and therefore money has to be in part both the answer.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that, and I think you could look to companies and organizations like Georgia Power, right? Unlikely, growing leaders in solar, and you know, I would encourage you all to invite the Public Utility Commissioner of Georgia and the CEO of Georgia Power to come up to Howard and talk about why Georgia Power, of all utilities, with no mandate, is starting to move very aggressively into solar. And they'll tell you exactly what Mike told you. You know, there's an economic business case right now, and there's very good opportunities and growing opportunities in this field. And I think over time, those same powers that have been resisting will see that there's a clear economic benefit, and they will move into the space. But there's clearly a business case to be made for renewable energy, and then its impact to mitigate climate change.
I was going to say, I definitely agree with that too. It's really just how do you present it to the public and your customers and say, hey, we want to allow you to have access to renewable energies, and how can we make it affordable for you, and present it really in a different way to make it happen quicker. Because that's the thing, if you have all these upfront costs and it's a huge number, you're not going to go with it. You need to see some smaller numbers in a plan and really what you're going to get back out of it. And I think that's especially what a lot of these solar startups are doing, is making it accessible to everyone.
We've got just a wee bit over 15 minutes left, which is probably good for at least 2 questions, maybe 3. I'm in my new Mike mode, where I'm less controlling, less in love with structure. So, okay, Team Howard, where do you want to go with this on the next question? And by the way, Rashawn's dealing with some technical difficulties here, so oh, there you go. He's smart though. He signed on twice, so we're getting to see. Anyway, don't worry. Rashawn's going to get back on here in a second. But what's the next question?